Welcome to season 2 of The Pink Couch. Tonight's episode, Dare to Be Different. All right, so welcome to season 2. Did y'all miss me? I missed y'all, but I have a lot of exciting things to talk about this season, and it's going to be a little bit more of a challenging season, but it's going to help us all in the end. So I want to talk about tonight, Dare to Be Different. When you hear the word different, I'm sure there are different things that comes to mind, but when we look up the definition of different, according to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, it says partly or totally unlike in nature, form, or quality. It means dissimilar. That's what it means to be different, distinct. Those are the words that Merriam-Webster wants to recognize as different. It means another. It means unusual or special. So we've seen TV shows like Catfish. We've seen the dating things we've seen trending on social media where they're popping the balloons, things of that nature. And it's amazing how it's very few people that are willing to stand on the fact that they are different. They listen to what other people have said prior to them, getting to them, and then they change. I guarantee you they're changing what they're going to say because they don't want their balloon popped, or they want to either get their point across. But what's wrong with being different? If everybody was the same shade of color, same height, same weight, same whatever, it would be boring. It would just be like just blah, like an animal cracker cookie. Like they all, even though they're different shapes, they taste the same, but it's nothing exciting about an animal cracker as opposed to an Oreo or a lemon Oreo or even a Chips Ahoy. Different is really good. Diversity gives us such a broad spectrum of learning, adapting, and even having something to be attracted to. I mean, there is a cliche that says opposites attract. According to science, it is. It says like charges repel, opposites attract. So what's wrong with being different? And a lot of people struggle with being different. They try so hard to conform to what their circle of friends are doing. You don't even like Michael Kors. You think that's the ugliest bag ever, but because your friends are carrying it, you decide to carry it. What's wrong with carrying a Vera Bradley? Well, what's that? See, it's a different brand of a bag. What's wrong with carrying a Kate Spade? Or what's wrong with carrying a Nine West bag? Yeah, Nine West makes purses, not just shoes. So it's different things. That diversity is important. And the thing about it is, if there was no diversity, then we would not be as lucrative as we are in business. We would not be, it just wouldn't be fun for everybody just to be the same. So I want to talk about some different characteristics of how you can dare to be different. So we broke down what different meant. And remember, it's special. It's unlike anything else. It's unusual. It's another. So it's like you got a box of crayons, right? Do you have another color? That's what you asked for. Well, what do you mean? Why don't you just use the red crayon? Well, I want a blue one. Don't you have another crayon other than red? So I guess it means different. So the first characteristic of daring to be different is authenticity. And if you know anything about me, that's my word. I believe that authenticity yields affluence. Authenticity is being true to yourself, your values, rather than conforming to societal expectations. Now, I know society says that I should be slender, that I should wear tons of makeup, I should walk in 6-inch heels to be considered attractive when it comes to modeling. But I consider myself a plus size model. I just am. I'm fluffy, and it is what it is. I've lost a significant amount of weight, as you can tell. However, I didn't lose the weight to conform to societal preferences. I did it for my health. I did it because it was hindering me from being my true self. It's not like me to be depressed. It's not like me to not be a go-getter. It's not like me not to be productive. That's anti-Alicia. But my weight was starting to affect that. So I had to make some changes to get back to my natural self. Well, how did I get there? Being a stress eater. I would constantly think, not hungry, just thinking and stuff in my mouth at the same time. And before I knew it, I done went through a whole bag of chips, a whole can of Pringles, a whole bag of cookies, and not even hungry, but I was just thinking. Something was on my mind and I was just stuffing my mouth as I was thinking. So that's not who I am. So I had to deal with how I became inauthentic. And so when you are true to your own standard, I have to produce fruit. That's my standard. There's no reason for me to be here if I cannot produce any type of fruit. I must produce something. That's been my MO my whole entire life, even as a kid. I just wasn't satisfied with just doing just enough to get by. And plus, that wasn't how I was raised. So I was willing to be true to myself, and being true to myself is I'm a girl. So I'm not about to be like, look like a dude, sound like a dude, dress like a dude. I'm a girl. When the doctor slapped me on my tail to make me cry, he said, Miss Faust, it's a girl. That's what he said, and that's what he meant. So I'm going to be true to myself. So, I'm not wearing tons of makeup every day. I wear heavy makeup for special occasions or for photo shoots. But every day I'm not doing that. That's not who I am. However, my head gonna be combed. I can't walk outside with a bonnet on the pajamas. That's inauthentically Alicia. I can't do that. Now that's what you do. That's what you do. But that's not me. I have to stay true to myself. If I'm going out that door, my hair's gonna be done and my clothes are gonna be ironed. That's who Alicia is. If you see me outside with wrinkled clothes and a bonnet on, something wrong with me. Take me to the doctor, take me to the hospital, call somebody, because that's not me. So when you're authentically you, that is when you begin to attract everything that's supposed to be yours. When you're trying to pretend to be somebody else, you're not going to have any results. And a lot of you watching me tonight are extremely frustrated because you are trying to be something that you are not around people. They're not even true to themselves. It's amazing how we get in a circle of friends, or we get in organizations, or we go on in the job market, and we get around other people. And because we feel left out, that's how we feel. We do something to become included. Well, as you become included, you become inauthentic. And when you should just be yourself, and then that way, people who can handle you at 100% will be able to be your friend without you having to dumb yourself down. The next thing is independence. If you're going to dare to be different, there must be a sense of independence. That is resisting the pressure to fit in and choosing your own path, even when it means going against the crowd. A lot of people do not want to be unpopular, but the most unpopular people are the most productive ones. I guarantee it. Most people who are popular, they are only trending as a topic, or they are, I guess, a conversation piece, if you will, because that's what everybody is attracted to at that moment. But what are they actually producing for those people? How many people are supposed to be trending on social media and they say, well, I got a book and here's a pre-order. Okay, well, we've ordered this book and we don't have it yet. These people who are popular are constantly doing this. They're constantly saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to, but it never becomes it's done. And because they have charisma and they always know how to deflect and things of that nature, people continue to support those entities. But someone who's unpopular, they already got 7 books out, 7 books selling, they got conferences set up or whatever. They're traveling across the country, but because they're not popular, nobody knows that. Just like people what is a Vera Bradley? It's a brand, it's a purse, it's a brand of a bag. But a lot of people don't know that because it's not popular. But guess what? She's doing very well and making quite a bit of money in her sphere of influence. So you got to be independent. And a lot of reasons why you're not successful, because you can't be independent, because you are only going to do something if people are cheering you on. One of the things I cannot stand on social media, when people say, if I was to do this, would you support it? And they base it, whether they're going to do it or not, if people type, I'll support. Do you know how many people RSVP events on social media and don't show up? And you can prepare for the amount of yeses. You understand what I'm saying? But the main people who click yes, they're not coming. So now you've spent extra money and you've done all this thing planning on people who said they were coming instead of just having the event and just being satisfied with whoever comes and whoever goes. Yes, I know numbers are important. You want to plan things that nature. I get all of that. But my point is, can you do it independent of somebody saying, I'll come? Can you do it independent of saying, I support it? Independence is very important if you're going to dare to be different. My next point is creativity, a willingness to step out of the conventional mode and explore new ideas that lead to amazing contributions. When I was trying to figure out what to do for women that would be marketplace, now everybody knows I am a disciple of Jesus Christ. That's not a secret. However, I wanted to do something for women that wasn't quote unquote churchy, because I wanted to reach all types of women from all kinds of walks of life, background, ethnicities, things of that nature. What do I call it that it won't be churchy? Came up with She Can. You know, that don't sound like church at all. It doesn't. It's something I do for women, empowering women. And I wanted them to know that you don't have to be a Christian. You don't have to come to church. You don't have to be African American. You don't have to be this. You don't have to be that. You could just be a female. And if you want to be empowered, show up. And so I had to get creative in order to do that. Now, I'm not saying because I am a disciple, sometimes Christ does come into the conversation, but it's not a churchy thing. And I want people to be comfortable talking about real life issues. So when you want to be different, you have to be creative. It's just that simple. Why would you name it She Can? Because she can do anything. She can soar, she can lead, she can sing, she can write, she can publish, she can do whatever it is she wants to do. She just has to know that she can. And that's simply what it was. I had to get creative with it, even down to the logo. I had to get creative with it. So when you dare to be different, there's a creativity that comes with it. And you got to dare just do that, because once you are creative, you have produced something that nobody else has ever done, and it's going to attract an audience that has never been engaged before. So the next thing is you got to have courage. If you're going to dare to be different, you must be courageous. You have to be able to be brave enough to make bold decisions that go against established norms, even when it risks rejection or criticism. I can't tell you how many times I had criticism of things that I've done. If you know anything about Alicia, she is really different. My bishop tells me, you know, you're over the top, right? Yes, I know. I just can't put peppermints and a notebook and a cheap pen from the dollar store in a bag and call it a conference bag. I just can't do that. You're going to have a conference badge. You're going to have a monogram, a stylus pen. You're going to have customized M&Ms in the bag. You're going to have a thank you note for coming to be a part. You may have a souvenir from one of my business in the bag. That's just who I am. And so if you're going to dare to be different, you must be courageous. As a matter of fact, my first women's empowerment was called Team Courageous. That's what it was. It was called Take Courage Ministries, and it was called Team Courageous. And I was empowering women to just be courageous to do what needs to be done. If I didn't use the courage to do the pink couch when we're having this conversation, it takes a lot for me to come out of the pulpit and come into the podcast room and just talk about real life issues. I had to take courage to do that, because taking courage to do this could affect my ministerial audience. But guess what? I'm not limited to one audience. I'm bold enough to say that. So I'm willing to dare to be different and do things differently. I'm still a Christian. I don't compromise my beliefs by no means, but I'm able to be Alicia in different atmospheres, in different venues. So if you're going to dare to be different, you must be courageous. The next point that I'm going to talk about before we take our break. Got 2 more points. We're going to take a break. So the next one is purposeful commitment. I cannot stress that enough. Purposeful commitment, a deep dedication to your passion and your purpose, even if it means turning down more conventional opportunities. All right. When you have your commitment has to have a purpose. A lot of people commit to AT&T because they like certain things AT&T provides. Some are committed to Verizon because they want to, okay, you hear me now. Some are committed to Spectrum. What's your purpose of being committed? You have to have a purposeful commitment. Some of us are locked in contracts because, okay, this is a service that I want. I'm going to pay for it for 2 years even though I want to switch to something else. But my purpose is so I don't have to buy out the contract. Therefore, I'm committed. All right? So when it comes to your business, when it comes to your purpose, are you really committed? Listen, I have off days. Monday's supposed to be my off day. But sometimes because I'm so committed to my purpose, Monday is not an off day for me. So I have to go in on my off day because my commitment has purpose. You can tell somebody all day long, I'm committed to you. But are you purposefully committed? Are you willing to be so dedicated that you won't even take something that offer you more money because it has nothing to do with your purpose? And I've been in those situations. I've been in a situation where somebody offered me a lot of money to do something, but I just couldn't commit to that because it was against my value, my core values for one, and it will pull me out of my authenticity. It will compromise my authenticity. And so because my faith requires me having faith, then guess what? If I compromise in any capacity, it could cost me everything. And so what I have been able to build and the brand that I have created is just not worth compromising. And so when you have purposeful commitment, I am determined to empower women to let them know that, hey, you can do anything that you want to do. And the world cannot operate without us. I don't care how many promotions we're passed over, how people are still trying to figure out we can even preach or even lead. That doesn't even matter. If you're purposefully committed, you're not going to do anything to compromise your standard. And you should have a standard. What is your standard for business? What's your standard for ministry? What's your standard for your hobbies, for your relationships? What are your standards? You got to have a purposeful commitment. My last point before we take a break is self-worth. Okay, I got to read my notes on this. A strong sense of personal value or confidence that comes from embracing your uniqueness. Listen. If you're still, it's 2025. If you're still assessing your worth based on people's opinions, you are stuck. You're stuck, and you got it, and you have to shift. In this particular time in our world, you got to know who you are and how valuable you are. Because if you don't, you will always compromise, and at some point, too much compromise becomes surrender. There was an episode on Good Times. That's one of my favorite sitcoms. If you know me, you know that. Thelma was a playwright. She wrote a play, and so they said, "Hey, we're gonna produce your play. We're gonna actually do your play in the theater." She was so excited, but when the lady came to talk to her about the play and how it would go, can we make a few changes? And so it went from one change to another change to another change. And it kept going to the point it wasn't even what she wrote anymore. And she said, you know what? I'm not changing another word. There are some things that you have penned in your mind, you have penned in your heart that you really want to do. But when people begin to tell you, change this, tweak that, when you don't realize what the value is in what you have created, and you allow somebody to change it, it's no longer what you created. You can't be new and improved. It's one or the other. And that's one of the biggest lies we've seen across commercials all our life. New and improved. No, it's either new or it's improved. Because if it's improved, it means it's a better version of what it once was. If it's new, it's never been done before. And so Know what your self-worth is and be willing to stand 10 toes down on that, even when others can't see it. Because one of the things that we make the mistake of is that because people are around our life, doesn't mean they're in our life. And so we want people in our life to see us, but they don't have capacity. And so when you realize how worthy you are, and that you determine that based on your own opinion, because as you think in your heart, so are you, you'll be the biggest game changer of your life. Welcome back. So let's talk about why be different. All right. Innovation, leadership, personal fulfillment, societal impact. So let's break these down really, really quickly. Innovation is like different individuals often bring new perspectives or ideas that can lead to significant breakthroughs or improvements. When you dare to be different, you can be innovative. Somebody can have something already in place, but your authenticity can inspire them to add something to it to make it better. So that's why being different is one of the reasons why being different is important. Next thing is leadership. Those who dare to be different are often leaders who pave new paths and inspire us to think beyond the status quo. That's the purpose of the pink couch, to get you to think on a different capacity, to get you in a different arena that can actually understand who you are and not judge you for it. Personal fulfillment, living authentically leads to greater happiness. I can't stress that enough. When I was living my life to appease other people, to fit into their mold, into their systems, I was absolutely miserable. If you've been following me a long time on social media, you know I went through this phase where I had different color hair and wigs. I would come on live, it might be pink, it might be green, it might be orange, it might be purple, turquoise, rainbow, you name it. And people thought I was having a mental breakdown. What they didn't realize is that I was getting back to my authentic self, because I was in a marriage where I could not be myself. I had to dress older than what I was. I couldn't change my hair color. So I was like, I was free. So I was gonna let the world know I was free. So I was wearing things I wasn't wearing frumpy, oversized clothes. I went through a couple of form-fitting outfits for a season. It didn't last long, but I did have my little spell with that. I had different colored hair, and I was wearing makeup. I was happy because that's who I am. I'm bright, I'm colorful, I'm extra. That's who I am. I'm not this docile, boring, neutral tone chick. That's not who I was. That wasn't my personality. And so people started to see my real personality, because I had dummied myself down for 13 years in that marriage. Nobody recognized, who is this chick? What is she doing? And so the more authentic you become, the more happy you will be. So that's why I use the preference of personal fulfillment. Because you have a more fulfilled life when you determine you're not going to fit in anymore. Societal impact. By daring to be different, individuals can influence and change the world around them in positive ways. Could it be that sometimes people don't want to be around you because you're not you? You're not you. You're somebody else. And so until you become you, nobody wants to be around you. And I realized when I became myself and I was being me and stopped trying to conform to please a man and just be Alicia, I began to attract a different audience. I began to attract different types of people that was engaging, and it stimulated me in conversation, things of that nature, because I was trying to be something that I wasn't. And so if people cannot handle you at 100%, they don't deserve you at all. If you have to diminish yourself and dummy yourself down, that is really not good. So what does it mean to dare? To dare means to be sufficiently courageous. Sufficiently, to have a sufficient courage. You can't be daring if your courage doesn't have a certain level of a capacity. And one of the things that I was thinking about earlier today is that it's not that you don't have the ability to do what needs to be done. It's just that people lack capacity. to even be around you. And so what I found out is that some people don't have the capacity to handle Alicia. They rather handle who they want me to be, how they want me to give, or how they want me to serve them, or whatever, as far as being dominated, things of that nature. But the free Alicia, they don't have capacity. And so just because one doesn't have capacity to handle you doesn't mean you should lose your authenticity. So just be sufficiently courageous. Be sufficiently courageous to be you. The last word I want to break down before we end this episode tonight is the word be. Notice I didn't say become, I said be. And it means to equal in meaning, have the same connotation as. It means to identify with, to have a specified qualification or characterization. It means to have, maintain, occupy a place, situation, position, to remain undisturbed and uninterrupted. Good God. It means to come or to go. Be. Not become, but be. You got to remain uninterrupted. You got to remain undisturbed. Because when people begin to disturb you, you no longer are being. You're trying to become what they want. But when he said, let there be light, light showed up undisturbed. It's still there. It's undisturbed. So when you have the power to be, I'm not going to let anybody disturb me in being different. I have sufficient courage to remain undisturbed and just be different. To be another. I'm another type of female. I'm a female, but I'm another type. I'm nothing like that one over there. I'm another woman. As a matter of fact, I wasn't going to announce this, but since y'all on here, I'm getting ready to have something in 2026 called a Certain Woman's Conference. That's what it's going to be named. A Certain Woman's Conference. And it's going to be so diverse. It's going to be, I'm telling you, you're going to just keep it in the forefront of your mind. I'll release the dates really, really soon, but we're going to remain undisturbed in this season. That's what we're going to do. We're going to be all that we are, all that was said, all that God intended. We're going to do it with sufficient courage, and we're going to remain undisturbed. My name is Coach Lele. You've been listening to the Pink Couch Season 2, Episode 1. Meet me next week, same time, same channel. See you. God bless.